Well, I just came that way, I guess by luck.
Nat King Cole was more than just a singer. He was a global superstar. He was the voice of an era. His records sold millions. He outsold nearly everyone else. The attack happened in Birmingham, Alabama. It was a white-only concert. Cole was singing Little Girl. Suddenly, men rushed the stage. They were from the Ku Klux Klan. That's a domestic terrorist group. They carried weapons. They came there to kill the singer. Years later, he would challenge them all. He spoke one of the most bitter phrases in television history. Cole stated, "Madison Avenue is afraid of the dark." This is not a film about music. It is about how money, fame, and talent are powerless. Powerless against a system that did not want to see him, not on the stage and not on television. The golden contrast. In the early 1950s, Nat King Cole was unique. He was one of the first black artists. He successfully took over the mainstream. He was Capitol Records' biggest-selling singer. They famously called him the house that Nat built. By 1956, he had recorded hits the whole world knew: Mona Lisa, Unforgettable, and Nature Boy. There was no politics in these songs. There was no confrontation. There was only softness. It seemed he found a loophole. Music that was so perfect, it gave no grounds for racism. It was music that crossed racial barriers. But the walls never fell down. They simply became invisible. At the time, Cole avoided the fight. He did not want to be a political leader. He wanted to be just a musician. The black press often blamed him for this. They criticized him for performing at segregated shows. These were concerts where the audience was separated by race. Cole was a millionaire, but traveling often meant he could not check into a hotel. He could not sit down in a restaurant. This was the reality of the Jim Crow South. He tried to buy a home in Los Angeles. His neighbors sued him. They claimed they did not want undesirable people. Cole won the case, but he was forced to live in isolation anyway. This was his status: a world-famous celebrity, a man who his neighbors wanted out of the district, and now he was traveling south to perform, to Birmingham, the heart of Alabama. This was a dangerous decision. The stage invasion. The date was April 10, 1956. The Municipal Auditorium in Birmingham. The hall was packed. This was a concert only for a white audience. Cole knew the rules. He was just doing his job. He stood by the piano. The third song was Little Girl. Suddenly, a cry went up. A group of men rushed the stage floor. There were 4 of them. They charged through the orchestra pit. The attackers vaulted the barrier. These people were consumed by hatred. They were from the local Citizens Council group. This organization collaborated with the Ku Klux Klan. The aggressors prepared in advance. Police later found weapons in their car. This was not just a fight. This was an attempted assassination. One of the men, Glenn Reed, lunged at Cole. He struck the singer on the head. Cole fell down. The stage plunged into chaos. Security and musicians rushed to defend him. They pulled Cole backstage. Police arrested the men. But this was not the end. The next day, the detainees were charged with conspiracy. They faced charges of attempted kidnapping and murder. But Southern justice worked differently. Reed received only a $50 fine and 180 days in jail. It was a light sentence, extremely light. Essentially, this was an endorsement of violence. Cole was shocked. He publicly stated, "I never saw anything like it." He added, "I didn't have time to be scared." He tried to remain stoic, but this incident changed everything. It proved that even fame offers no protection. The war with Madison Avenue. The stage attack made headlines. It generated outrage. But not only in Birmingham, the black press criticized Cole again. They asked, why was he performing at segregated venues at all? Cole sought a new approach. He wanted to break the color barrier. Not with music. He decided to do it through television. On November 5, 1956, NBC launched the Nat King Cole Show. This was his response. It was unprecedented. For the first time, a black artist hosted his own national show. It ran in prime time. It was a perfect picture. Cole was elegant. He sang. He interviewed other stars. The lighting was soft. The suits were expensive. But backstage, the show was dying. The program could not find a national sponsor. Television survives on advertising revenue. It needs a major brand to pay millions. Cole was a superstar. Millions watched his show, but no major brand wanted to commit money. Brand owners were afraid. Their goal was to sell goods across the entire country. That included the segregated South. Advertisers believed the white South would not buy the product. If that product was advertised by a black host, major companies like Max Factor and Rheingold Beer refused. They wanted to remove themselves from political conflict, and a black host was seen as political. NBC tried to save the show. They aired it without a main sponsor. They sold smaller, rotating ad blocks. But this was unprofitable. The show ran on pure enthusiasm. On December 17, 1957, the show was canceled. After 13 months, Cole lost this battle. He was angry. He did not lose due to ratings. He lost due to racism. He said the advertisers are afraid of the dark. Activism and legacy. The 13 months of the Nat King Cole Show changed the singer. He started it as an apolitical musician. He finished it as a man who learned about systemic racism. He understood his fame could not buy him equality. The Alabama attack was blatant violence. The NBC failure was invisible, but no less powerful. Television showed him a different war. Cole did not just leave. He left with dignity and with a specific plan. Before 1957, he stayed away from the civil rights movement. He believed his music spoke for him. After 1957, his stance became active. He joined the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. He began publicly supporting the movement. In 1960, he even confronted President Eisenhower. He accused the president of inaction. He said Eisenhower was not helping black residents in the South. This was a strong, public challenge, a direct challenge to power. His Los Angeles home was once vandalized. Haters spray-painted the word "nigger" on his lawn. Cole did not call the police. He grabbed the hose himself and washed the lettering away. This was another quiet, yet firm, answer. The culmination came in 1963. Cole participated in the March on Washington. He stood on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. He listened to Martin Luther King's speech. He proved by his own example. He no longer sang to avoid politics. He used his fame to speak out. Nat King Cole's life was a paradox. He was one of the greatest artists of the 20th century. He was incredibly wealthy, but he could not defeat the system. He could not make Madison Avenue unafraid of the dark. He did not tear down the walls, but he became one of the men who exposed them. He showed, these walls are still standing, and they need to be brought down. Which war do you choose? The visible one, like the stage attack, or the invisible one, like the business boycott? That is the decision that defines history. The price of light. Nat King Cole died in 1965. He was only 45 years old. His performing career was short, but his legacy lives on. Cole's music still shows up in commercials today, but we now know the full cost of that music. We know what his right to simply sing cost him. We have seen how racism operates on two levels. First, physical violence, then economic boycott. Both methods proved effective. Both struck down a superstar. He failed to defeat the advertisers. He could not force them to change the rules. But his failure became a powerful lesson, a lesson for everyone who came after him. Cole's words are now history. Madison Avenue is afraid of the dark. They describe more than just his era. They describe all times, where success and talent clash with prejudice, and where the walls seem invisible. What matters most in this fight? Money or principle? Voice or silence? That is a choice everyone makes for themselves.